The girl hovered above the fissure, her bare feet inches from the glowing stone, her eyes, wide, shimmering, pleading, never left mine. "Take me home." Her voice was soft, broken, familiar. The same voice that whispered to me when I was 8. The same voice that begged me not to leave when I was 12. The same voice that screamed when the basement door slammed shut. Ben and Maya were still pulling, still fighting, still screaming my name, but their voices were fading, swallowed by the roar rising from below. Because the house wasn't listening to them. It was listening to me. The tendrils around my chest pulsed, tightening and loosening in a rhythm that matched the house's heartbeat. The shadow figure hovered behind the girl, its form flickering between shapes. The children, the adults, me, something ancient. It extended a hand toward me. "Choose." The house didn't speak in riddles. It didn't hide its intentions. It wanted an exchange, one for one, if I wanted the girl back, if I wanted to free her from the memory the house had trapped her in. I had to take her place. Ben's voice cracked. "Alex, don't do this. She's not real." Maya shook her head violently. "It's using your guilt. It's manipulating you." But the girl whispered, "Please." And my heart broke. Because even if she wasn't real, even if she was only a memory, she was still suffering. Because of me. She drifted closer, her small hand reaching toward my face. Her fingers were cold, too cold, like she'd been kept in a place where warmth didn't exist. Her voice trembled. "You said you'd come back." I swallowed hard. "I know. I'm sorry." Her eyes shimmered. "You left me." The words hit me like a punch, because they were true. I had left her, I had run, I had saved myself, and the house had punished her for it. The fissure pulsed beneath us, a deep resonant thud that shook the walls. The shadow leaned close. "Bring her back." I looked at the girl, really looked at her. Her face wasn't just sad. It wasn't just scared. It was empty, hollow, like something had eaten away the parts of her that made her human. Her eyes shimmered, but not with tears, with hunger. The same hunger as the house, the same hunger as the spiral, the same hunger as the shadow. She wasn't the girl I left behind. She was what the house made of her. A lure, a memory, a trap. Ben shouted, "Alex, she's not real!" Maya screamed, "It's wearing her face!" But the girl whispered, "Take me home." And the house whispered, "Trade." The tendrils surged upward, wrapping around my throat, my waist, my legs. The fissure glowed white-hot. The shadow leaned close. "Choose." The girl reached for me again. "Please." Ben pulled harder. Maya screamed my name. The basement tilted toward the fissure, and I realized the house wasn't asking, it was demanding. One for one. The girl's voice echoed through the basement. "Alex, don't leave me again." And for the first time, I didn't know if I could say no. The girl hovered above the fissure, her small hand still reaching for me. Her eyes, wide, shimmering, pleading, held the same expression she wore the night I abandoned her. "Take me home." Her voice was soft, broken, familiar, and it was killing me. Ben and Maya were still pulling, still screaming, still fighting the house with everything they had. But their voices were fading, swallowed by the roar rising from below. Because the house wasn't listening to them. It was listening to me. The tendrils around my chest pulsed, tightening and loosening in a rhythm that matched the house's heartbeat. The shadow figure hovered behind the girl, its form flickering between shapes. The children, the adults, me, something ancient. It extended a hand toward me. "Choose!" The fissure roared louder, heat blasting upward like the breath of something ancient. The basement tilted toward the opening, dust pouring from the ceiling in thick clouds. Ben's voice cracked. "Alex, don't do this! Don't let it take you!" Maya swung the pipe again, striking the tendrils. They flickered, recoiled, but they didn't release me. The girl drifted closer, her bare feet hovering inches above the glowing stone. Her eyes locked onto mine. Pleading, accusing, terrified. "You said you'd come back." My throat tightened. "I know. I'm sorry." Her voice trembled. "You left me." The words hit me like a punch, because they were true. I had left her. I had run. I had saved myself, and the house had punished her for it. The shadow leaned close. "Bring her back." Something inside me cracked. Not physically, not mentally, emotionally. A fracture that had been forming since I was 8, a wound that had never healed, a guilt that had never faded. I felt it break open, raw, bleeding, unbearable. I screamed, not in fear, not in pain, in grief, in guilt, in rage. The sound tore out of me, ripping through the basement like a shockwave. The tendrils recoiled, the fissure pulsed, the shadow flickered violently. Ben stumbled, Maya gasped. The girl froze, her eyes widened, not in fear, but in recognition. Because she had never heard me scream like that. Not when I was 12, not when I ran, not when I left her. This was new, this was real, this was me breaking. The basement shook violently, tools rattling on the walls, dust pouring from the ceiling. The fissure glowed brighter, white hot, pulsing like a heartbeat. The house whispered, "Finish it." The tendrils surged upward, wrapping around my throat, my waist, my legs. The shadow leaned close. "Choose." The girl reached for me again. "Please." Ben pulled harder. Maya screamed my name. The basement tilted toward the fissure, and I realized the house wasn't asking, it was demanding, one for one. The girl's voice echoed through the basement. "Alex, don't leave me again." And for the first time, I didn't know if I could say no. Because the breaking point wasn't the house, it was me. The house stopped pretending. The moment I screamed, the moment something inside me finally cracked, the house dropped its mask. The tendrils didn't just tighten, they lunged, wrapping around my ribs, my throat, my legs, dragging me toward the fissure with a force that felt like gravity itself had turned against me. Ben and Maya were no longer pulling me back. They were fighting not to be pulled in themselves. The basement floor tilted sharply, concrete groaning, shelves toppling, tools clattering across the ground. The fissure roared like a furnace, heat blasting upward in waves that scorched my skin. The girl hovered above the opening, her face flickering, pleading, accusing, hungry. "Take me home." The shadow behind her stretched taller, its form sharpening into something skeletal and ancient. One for one. The house wasn't bargaining anymore. It was collecting. The tendrils yanked me forward so hard my spine arched. My fingers scraped across the concrete, leaving streaks of blood. Ben grabbed my wrist, screaming my name, but his grip was slipping. Maya wrapped both arms around my waist, digging her heels into the floor. "Alex, fight it." I tried. God, I tried. But the house whispered, "You belong to us." And the girl whispered, "Don't leave me again." And the truth was, I didn't want to. Not because of the house. Not because of the ritual. Not because of the promise. Because of the guilt. The guilt that had lived inside me for decades. The guilt the house had fed on, the guilt that had shaped me. The house didn't create the bond. I did. She drifted closer, her small hand brushing my cheek. Cold, empty, wrong. Her eyes shimmered with something that wasn't human. "Come with me." The tendrils surged. Ben lost his grip. Maya screamed. I slid forward, inches from the fissure, heat burning my skin, the roar deafening. The shadow leaned close. "Finish it." And the girl whispered, "Please." Something snapped inside me. Not guilt, not fear, anger, not at the girl, not at the children, not at the memory, at the house, at the thing that had manipulated me since childhood, at the thing that had whispered in my walls, at the thing that had stolen her, at the thing that had used my guilt like a leash. I screamed again, not in grief, but in rage. The tendrils recoiled, the fissure pulsed violently, the shadow flickered, the girl froze. For the first time, she looked afraid, not of being left behind, of me. The basement shook so violently the shelves collapsed. The fissure roared like a living thing. The tendrils surged again, desperate, frantic. The house whispered, "No." The shadow lunged. The girl screamed. Ben grabbed my arm again. Maya wrapped her arms around my waist, and I realized the house wasn't in control anymore. I was. The house wasn't prepared for my anger. It had fed on my guilt for decades. It had whispered to me as a child. It had shaped my nightmares. It had waited for me to return. But it had never expected me to fight back. The moment I screamed, the moment rage replaced guilt, the house shuddered. The tendrils recoiled. The fissure pulsed violently. The shadow flickered like a dying flame. The girl froze midair, her expression twisting. Not pleading, not accusing, but startled. For the first time, she looked afraid of me. The basement shook so violently the shelves collapsed. Tools clattered across the floor. Cracks split the walls. The fissure roared like a living thing in pain. The house whispered. Not commanding, not demanding, but desperate. "Stop!" The tendrils surged again, frantic, wrapping around my waist, my throat, my legs. But they weren't pulling me toward the fissure anymore. They were trying to restrain me, to contain me, to silence me. Ben grabbed my arm again, pulling with renewed strength. "Alex, whatever you're doing, keep doing it." Maya wrapped her arms around my waist, bracing her feet against the floor. "It's losing control." The girl drifted backward, her face flickering. Child, shadow, child, shadow. As if the house couldn't hold her shape steady, she whispered, "Alec, stop." But it wasn't her voice anymore. It was the house's, the spiral carved into the floor. The one I made as a child began to fracture. Hairline cracks spread across the concrete, glowing white-hot. The fissure pulsed in time with my heartbeat, not the house's. The house whispered, "No." The shadow lunged toward me, but flickered, glitched, stuttered. It couldn't hold its form. It couldn't hold me. Because the spiral wasn't just a door. It was a bond. A bond the house had relied on. A bond it had manipulated. A bond it had assumed would never break. But now, I was breaking it. She drifted closer again, reaching for me. But her hand wasn't small anymore. It was long, thin, wrong. Her face flickered. Child, shadow, child, void. Her voice cracked. "Alex, please." But the illusion was gone. She wasn't the girl I left behind. She was the house's puppet. A memory wearing a child's skin. A lure designed to pull me into the fissure. And now that I wasn't falling for it, the house didn't know what to do. The fissure roared, blasting heat upward. The tendrils thrashed wildly. The shadow screamed, a sound like metal tearing. The house whispered one last time, "Come back." But I didn't. I pushed. Not physically, not with strength. With will. With the part of me the house had tried to claim. With the part of me it had underestimated. The spiral shattered. The fissure convulsed. The girl screamed, not in fear, but in fury. The house lost its grip. And for the first time since I was 8, I was free. The house screamed, not with a voice, with its structure. The walls buckled, the ceiling cracked, the floor heaved like something alive was dying beneath it. The fissure convulsed, its glow flickering violently, shrinking in on itself like a dying star. The tendrils thrashed, then snapped like brittle vines. The shadow figure spasmed, its form glitching. Child, void, child, nothing. The girl's face twisted, not in fear, not in sorrow, but in rage. "Alex, you were mine." But the illusion was gone. The bond was broken. The house had lost control. I pushed again, not with strength, not with force, but with the one thing the house could never consume, my will. The spiral shattered completely. The fissure collapsed inward. The girl screamed. A sound that wasn't human, was never human, was only ever the house wearing her face. And then, silence. A silence so complete it felt like the world had stopped breathing. The basement floor buckled, concrete split, dust exploded upward in thick clouds. Ben grabbed my arm. Maya wrapped her arms around my waist. "Go!" she shouted. We ran. The stairs shook beneath our feet, boards snapping, nails ripping free. The basement behind us imploded, the fissure sealing shut with a final deafening crack. We burst into the hallway just as the floor collapsed behind us. The house groaned, a long, low, dying sound. Doors slammed open and shut, windows shattered. The walls pulsed like a dying heart. We sprinted toward the front door. This time, it didn't resist. It blew open with a violent gust of cold night air. We stumbled out onto the porch, collapsing into the overgrown grass as the house behind us convulsed one last time, and then it stopped, completely. No whispers, no breathing, no presence. Just an empty, rotting structure under a silent sky. The front windows cracked inward. The roof sagged. The walls bowed. But it didn't explode. It didn't burn. It didn't collapse into a dramatic heap. It simply went still, like a predator that finally starved. Ben coughed, wiping dust from his face. "Is it over?" Maya stared at the house, chest heaving. "It feels empty." I nodded slowly, because I couldn't feel it anymore. The presence, the whisper, the pull. The house wasn't watching. The house wasn't listening. The house wasn't remembering. It was just a house, a dead one. Maya touched my shoulder gently. "Alex, the girl. Was she?" I shook my head. She wasn't real. Not anymore. The house used her. It used all of them. Ben swallowed hard. "But you broke it." I looked at the house. The rotting wood, the shattered windows, the silent doorway. "No," I said quietly. "I broke me free." The house didn't die because I destroyed it. It died because it lost its hold on me. The bond it fed on, the guilt, the fear, the promise, was gone. And without that bond, the house had nothing left to live on. A cold wind blew through the trees. The grass rustled. The moon slipped behind a cloud. The house stood silent, empty, forgotten. For the first time in decades, it remembered nothing. And neither did I. Not the whispers, not the dreams, not the guilt. The house had taken enough from me. It would take nothing more. Ben exhaled shakily. "Let's go home." Maya nodded. "Yeah, let's get out of here." I stood, looking at the house one last time. It didn't look back. It couldn't. It was dead, and I was finally free. Hey, if you liked this video and want more content, please do like, comment, and subscribe. Also, if you want to share some of your personal scary stories, email us using the email in the description. Haunt you later.